All right, then I'm Drew Wills from Unicon. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the Apereo Portlet Showcase for 2014 Open Apereo Miami. We like to do this every year. I've participated in this going back 3 or 4 years because we want to draw attention to the cool new features, the great work that goes into the Apereo Portlet projects, even beyond the portal framework itself. We believe it's the case, we hope it's the case, we will tell you again and again that it's the case, that if you adopt uPortal, you can stand up a compelling campus portal, a compelling portal for your organization quickly, using, for the most part, off-the-shelf components. These mature Portlet projects that we have in Apereo, some of which I'll show you today. So we have a number of topics to cover today. To kick things off, I'm going to do a quick high-level summary of activity in the Apereo Portlet space over the last 12 months since the last conference, the preceding 12 months. I have some fun information and sort of statistics to share with you there. And then we're also going to do some highlight footage. We're going to take a closer look at some of the new and emerging stuff in some of these Portlet projects. Stuff that's cool, things that you may not be aware of, things that you may want to use in your portal, things that you want to maybe enhance on your own and make some new contributions. To Apereo with. And then towards the end, I've got a little content that I've been working on with some of the other guys at Unicon that we use in some of our portal platform and training. Portlet development training offerings, talking about how to choose an approach for getting content into your portal, and I'll step through that when we get to the end. Very good. To kick things off, as promised, I'll talk a little bit about the activity over the preceding 12 months in the Apereo Portlet space. When I went to prepare this, I actually I did so with a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of trepidation, because I know that myself, the people I work with at Unicon, other people in the community, people at Wisconsin and elsewhere, we've been pretty tied up, we've been pretty busy with the work on Responder and uPortal 4.1. The usual cast of characters who make these kinds of contributions to Apereo Portlets have been really focused, unusually focused over the last 12 months on Responder, which is available now and about to be released in uPortal 4.1. It was at the conference 12 months ago where we first had lots of discussions and really crystallized the idea that we wanted to offer a responsive design theme for uPortal. But I was pleasantly surprised by the numbers I gathered. For this, there are potentially others that I could have looked at, but I focused really on the sponsored Portlet projects and the incubating Portlet projects. And in the end, I looked at 14 Apereo Portlet projects. You'll see the list shortly. And I have this. The title of this slide is Unofficial Activity Report, because I kind of did this on my own and with my human eyes, and so if I've miscalculated by a few numbers, perhaps you'll forgive me. But I cataloged 327 commits to the master branches of these 14 portlets that I looked at in GitHub. 87 independent pull requests submitted to these projects. Some, majority of which were merged in already. Some of which are still pending. 35, releases, individual tagged releases for these within these 14 projects over the last 12 months. and 26 individual human beings contributing to these Portlet projects. So 26 different user accounts on GitHub contributing to these Apereo Portlet projects. So honestly, I think that's pretty good. I think that represents activity, solid activity, sustainable activity in the Apereo Portlet space. And here's kind of a breakdown by project. You know, some sort of fared better than others. But you know, in the main, there's a lot going on. Anyway, you know, vast majority of these actually had releases. Vast majority of these had pull requests. The last column, the bundled, talks about there are 3 portlets that in the last 12 months were added as bundled portlets to the portal distribution, and those are announcements, basic LTI, and the Sakai connector, 2 of which Steve Swinsberg will tell you about today. All right, so not bad, especially considering how distracted we were with Responder, to be honest. So I'm delighted to come here and tell you about all the great stuff. All right, but I'm going to have to wait my turn. This first is Steve.
Okay, thanks, Drew. Okay, so there's 2 portlets that I've worked on over a number of years, and finally managed to get them into incubation a while ago, and then worked through the JC incubation process, and then they've graduated, and as Drew mentioned, they're now bundled inside the portal release. The first one that I want to talk about is the basic LTI portal. So, what is LTI? Officially, it stands for Learning Tools Interoperability. I don't like to call it that because it's more than learning tools. I like to call it lightweight tools interoperability. But you know, you'll catch me for that if you say that. So the reason I say that is because in my day job, I actually work for a healthcare, health IT company, and I'm introducing LTI into that company. So it's not learning tools, it's actually for health. But the way LTI works is you have a consumer, which is taking something, and then a provider, which is giving you something. And in this case, it's actually apps. So we have a provider that's giving you an app, and then a consumer that's rendering that app. And the way it all works is through a specially crafted HTTP request, and signed by OAuth. So it can't be, you know, so it's essentially like you get a checksum, and you know that request hasn't been tampered with along the way, because you're actually sending user information. Over the years, I've done a lot of integrations with different learning management systems, WebCT, Blackboard, Moodle, Sakai, and many years ago, you would have to make up these requests. So a number of parameters, you'd stick a checksum on the end, and maybe a timestamp and a few other parameters. What this actually does is it formalizes that sort of request and those parameters into a spec, which then anyone can implement. And it also means that tool providers are able to expose their tools in a consistent manner. So with LTI, you don't really need these custom integrations anymore. I put a little asterisk there because if you want a really deep integration, you will still need to do some sort of integration. But again, coming back to the L, that I like to use the L, the lightweight part. If you want a lightweight integration with some other application, LTI is what you want. It does a single sign-on, so you don't need to log into these other applications. As part of the request, it logs you in. And it can also provision the user, so you don't need to sign up to these other third-party applications. It'll just create your account already. The big thing about LTI is context. So as part of the request, you're sending along the place that you want to go. So the site that you're in, or some sort of assignment, or something like that. And then the tool provider knows, put the person and the response into that context, so that then you're getting back information exactly what you wanted. You're not just getting like the front page and then you need to drill down. You're going directly to where you need to be. And there's loads of third-party apps you can use right now that are LTI supported. This has been a really fast-growing area, wikis and forums, blogs, all sorts of learning tools. I'm going to show you a couple of more obscure ones you've probably never heard of. But a lot of tool providers, like Turnitin and media servers and things like that, they're all becoming LTI enabled. Not so obscure as the Sakai one. So Sakai was the first LMS to support both consumer and provider LTI support quite a few years ago, 2010, I think. And if you look closely in this screenshot, you'll see this is an old screenshot. But the top part there is the Portlet frame, and then inside there we've got the Sakai frame sitting inside there, and I've signed in, and it's taken me into the wiki. I'm editing the wiki inside uPortal. So this is one of the more obscure ones you may not have heard of, Notefly. It's supported LTI for quite a while. Again, if you look closely, you can see that we're sitting inside a Portlet. We're actually now editing a musical notation score, and this could be an assignment. So Notefly provides musical notation assignments support. So an interesting use. And another one, ChemVantage, again inside the Portlet frame. And if you look in the top right-hand corner, you can see my name. I didn't sign up. The LTI request did all that for me. And I'm taking a chemistry test inside the portal. So the basic LTI Portlet, great for connecting to any sort of LTI service. Sakai Connector Portlet builds on top of that. So it's the basic LTI Portlet, but I added in Sakai Web Services specifically for that to make it a tailored Sakai experience. With those web services, you can look up your sites that you're in and the tools that are in those sites that have been enabled for LTI by the Sakai administrator. And it uses that information for sending that context again. So you can, I think it's in the next screenshot. Okay, so this is the edit mode or the configuration mode for the Portlet. You type in some information and then you can go off and select the site that you're in Sakai. And then once you do that, it goes off and fetches the tools that are in Sakai for that site. You can choose a specific one. So you can choose resources or you can choose a forum. Again, another old screenshot, but you can see the whole picture now. So we've got the resources from my workspace sitting inside uPortal. And just to wrap those two up, the two Portlets, obviously in GitHub, they're in uPortal 4.1, and they both ship with demo config as well, so you can just drop them onto your layout and have a play with them, and then when you like, you can configure them up to point to a specific LTI provider that you like. And more information is available on the wiki. You just type in Sakai Connector Portlet or Basic LTI Portlet, and it'll come straight up. All the information about configuring is on there as well. Good day.
I'm Tom Friesone, I'm from BYU, and what I want to talk about today are some what we call the HR Portlets. And what these actually are, and I guess a little bit of the backstory, is where PeopleSoft shop. And we have a whole bunch of PeopleSoft iframes within our portal, which we had varying degrees of success. And so we somewhat decided to abandon them and thought this would be some great stuff we could contribute back to the community. So I want to kind of show you what we have. Just kind of as where we're at and what the technology is that we're using. This is all enabled by web services. We provide a pretty nice API because I'm sure everyone has different implementations other than PeopleSoft, and so you should be able to extend this. This is also done with Bootstrap, and Unicon has helped us out with the UI and so forth. So what we have here first is time reporting Portlet, and it has your basic punch in, punch out. It provides multiple different jobs. It also gives you ACA support with Obamacare and so forth. That's now an issue. So we provided a button that you can check those hours, plus deep links into your, whatever your system is, so your employee can see their hours and so forth. We also give a little dashboard view of the current totals. And the buttons will actually, it's kind of nice, because you can clock in, you can't clock in multiple jobs. So it's a pretty nice portlet, and provides functionality that you can integrate into whatever your time and labor solution is. And we figured this was something that, as a community, you have student employees and so forth, and staff people who are hourly, that this would be something that would be of value to your portal. So we're going to contribute that back. And we're in the early stages of incubation where we're at with that. So the second set we have are really two portlets. The first one on the right side, my right, is a leave reporting portlet in which employees can report their time, their sick and vacation. It's a nice form that gives you your weekly layout, and they can put in the number of hours that they take as far as sick, vacation, and so forth, whatever your accruals are. It has the ability to scroll back and forth on the calendar, so that it can actually put in last week's vacation and so forth. It also allows you, if your work week includes the weekends, you can actually toggle that back and forth. So if you have a week work week like that. Other things, it actively shows you your balance and so forth. You can also, up at the top, include messages from your HR department, like for instance, warnings about not working more than 40 hours a week and things of that sort. Also, this is completely driven from web services, so that it should be extensible into whatever HR system you're using. In our case, we're using PeopleSoft. The second one here is more of a dashboard view for administrative, for people who are not as hourly, that they can get their totals on their sick and vacation and that kind of thing. So one is a full-blown one. This is a dashboard version of almost exactly the same thing. Kind of I don't know, it falls under the HR thing, but at BYU we have a lot of student employees, and it's kind of hard to see from the fonts up here. But what we wanted to do was create a dashboard of sorts in which students could actually find jobs and so forth. And so for us, it's we had several different awards and so forth to advertise students' jobs. And so instead, we've contributed these back to the notification portlets. And what this allows you to do is advertise jobs. And if you look at the portlet on my right, there, the right side of there, it provides you basically a search for all the jobs that are available on campus. You can search by department, you can search on several things. Along the right side is kind of hard in the green. You can apply for those if that's available. Also, you can mark it for later use. So there's sort of a notion of favorites that you could say, hey, I'm interested in this job, just mark it, but don't apply for it. So it gives you some flexibility as to how you want to work that and the application process, and gets it out in front of your students. So it should add some value to that. On the next one over here is actually a detailed view. So that if you were to click inside one of those jobs, it actually allows them to see all the job description, qualifications, and so forth, so that they can drill into it. So you get a little bit of a flow to it. But those are what we refer to as the HR portlets. We're currently getting ready to incubate most of this stuff. And if you have suggestions or features that you're interested in, we'd be happy to look into adding those. So, thanks.
Hi, Tim Verteen. I'm going to share a couple of portlets we've been developing in UW-Madison. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Portlet Marketplace. If you were at the State of the Portal this morning, you've heard a little bit about this. But I want to go into a little bit more detail. So the Portlet Marketplace is an app marketplace, similar to things you find on your phone, where you can search and download things. It's designed so you can find what you want easier and faster. Got a wow factor, that's a personal opinion. It invites user engagement. You really want people to come in, want to interact with this portlet, want people to be excited. It has an initial view, and every portlet's got an entry page. So here's the initial view. It lists every portlet that you can add to your layout. It also that has a browse permission. It has a featured list. And it also dynamically searches. So that search field up in the upper right-hand corner will automatically filter based on what you put in there in real time. Here I've expanded the category button from the last page. And what that does is it displays all the categories that you're able to see. It also displays categories that have portlets that you're allowed to add. It's kind of an easy way for students to go in and maybe they want information so they can see all the portlets that are in the information category. Here's an entry page. By default, every portlet that you have in the portal has an entry page. With a few more added categories, you can make it look a little bit better. So here's kind of a full-fledged portlet entry page. So you can see on the right, or on your left, everything's on a title. There's a description. We have screenshots for this one. This is a good way for you to display to the user what your portlet actually does. It lets users know ahead of time what they're getting without just randomly looking at it first. There is a rating and review section. That's automatically built in. Users are invited to give a portlet a rating. This also lists feedback and lets you know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. It makes another metric that users can search on. Lets you have a popular portlets category. There is also this options button on the right side. That has a go, so you can go right to the portlet. It's got a link which enables you to do linking from a portlet. Here's the linking. So when you click that link to button, if you have it enabled in your portlet definition, you can supply it with a short link. Otherwise, you can give it a long link. The long link will be contextual to where your URL is. This allows users to share the portlets either via social media or allows faculty members to give the short link to students so students can get right to the portlets that they need to see. The Portlet Marketplace also has integration throughout the portal. In the contextual menu, there is a Rate This Portlet option. This displays a modal right in the middle of the screen and invites the users to rate the portlet. That rating, of course, is tied into the rating in the entry page, so that will be reflected in everything you do. Coming up with the Portlet Marketplace, Google Indexable. We're developing a feature where users can search your school in a portlet and they will actually see it in Google, so they don't have to log in before they search. Reviews. We have the ratings done, but the comments are not quite functional. Well, we are working on that. And then manage features. So when you see a list of portlets, you're seeing the list of portlets that you can use. But we're working on a feature with the portlets that users can manage. There'll be options so users can go in and see reports right in the Portlet Marketplace. So that'll be a really cool way for content providers to keep in touch with the portlets that they're administering. Also want to talk about favorites. Favorites is a portlet that lets users know what they want to see, keep it in one spot, and then easily get to it. This is an alternative approach to layout. It doesn't replace layouts, so generally uses favorites and favorite collection types. This allows us to have a favorites portlet and tabs in the same place, or you can use one or the other. All the DLM tricks and techniques apply. So you'll see in an upcoming slide about that. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's still a very promising, exciting portlet, and there's a lot more to come. And my UW is spearheading this approach. So here we can see the favorites portlet. There's two kinds of things that go in the favorites portlet. The first are collections, and the second are portlets. You see on the top with arrows, those are collections. So those are, we create the definition fragments that have groups of portlets in there. So users can go to an academics fragment, and they can just go there right away and see all the academic portlets. We're going to use this in my UW to replace tabs. Also, there are portlets, so users can favorite a portlet and then get to it right away. Here's how they favorite a portlet. So they see it, and all I have to do is click Add to My Favorites. So now it's accessible at all times to them. I also want to talk about the Blackboard portlet. That's another portlet that we've spent a lot of time with the last year. I'm not going to touch on it too much. There's a Blackboard presentation tomorrow. But the Blackboard is a Portlet interface to the Blackboard web service, a web conferencing service. It allows users to create and edit sessions and manage participants. Users can access past recordings and set telephony, all from the Portlet. So here's a couple screenshots from the Portlet. The one on the far side is a list of sessions, and the one on the right close side shows how you can add a session.
Awesome, thanks, Tim. Okay, we just have a couple more of these to parade in front of you. Not much. The next item I want to highlight is a new portlet in the JSIG widget portlets project called the App Launcher. It's a simple strategy for bringing content into your portal, and actually that's from here on out and into the kind of the last section of this content, that's an important theme and something I want to kind of pick up as we close. Among other things to remember about the App Launcher, it takes maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes to bring some kind of content or service into to give it a presence in your portal, and that's one key advantage of this. On the left-hand side, or your left, my left, if I look this way, you see the config mode for the App Launcher portlet, and this is where the majority of the setup takes place. Things beyond like the F-name and so forth, you need a URL for the app that you want to launch. You need to choose a display strategy, which is either inline frame or a launch in a new window. You have the option to upload an icon. If you don't, you get the default icon. You can choose a link title, which is the hover text that would appear if the user hovers over the portlet, as well as a normal title and a subtitle, optional subtitle. You see how these things play out on the right. I created an App Launcher portlet for the Unicon website, and you can see how the title and the subtitle are in there. The icon that I uploaded is in there, and the whole area is clickable as a link out to the Unicon website. And when you do, since I've chosen the inline frame strategy, what you get is something like this. So this is uPortal detached window state in Responder. You can see that the vast majority of the screen real estate has been given over to the portlet. In this case, an iframe. Rendering as an iframe. So the underlying, or the Unicon website in this case, that you will see appears as it might normally appear in a browser if I'd gone there using the address bar. It has virtually all the screen real estate. The only thing it doesn't have is this thin, 55 pixel or so band at the top of the page that has a home button that gives you the opportunity to go back to the portal, and a little bit of information on the right. It's actually adjustable. You can add more content in the form of small portlets into that banner strip. But as far as iframes go, it's a relatively pleasant experience for viewing another app or website. Another thing I want to highlight is the Simple CMS portlet, which is not new. It's been with us for a long time. It's been bundled with uPortal for a long time. But what is new is the integration with the attachments portlet in the WYSIWYG editor. So if you use, in the most recent version of this portlet in uPortal 4.1, if you use the Simple CMS portlet, you can use the image button in the WYSIWYG editor. You can select upload. You can find an image on your file system and send it to the server and embed it in the content that you're authoring right there in the WYSIWYG editor. Terrific. I think I wanted to hit this, more than anything, because I think this is a lesser known strategy. Simple JSP is something I like to use. So Simple CMS is great if you just need to do some quick static content and it's static. It doesn't have dynamic information. It doesn't integrate with any other services on campus. It's very quick. But what if you do need to have just a modest amount of dynamic content? And what if you need to maybe display a user attribute, or what if you maybe need to get a user attribute such as EmployID or PIDM from the portal in order to invoke some JavaScript, let's say. Another very quick and dirty strategy, as long as you have the technical skills to write a JSP, another way to accomplish that is to use the simple JSP portlet, which is also a part of the JC widget portlet. And there have been some enhancements to that, things that were done on behalf of Clark University by James Wenmacher, another Unicounter, to provide more pluggable opportunities for injecting model objects that are available in the JSP that you write. All right. So when I came back up to the podium, I talked about a variety, 3 of them, of strategies for bringing content into the portal. All of these are kind of abstract strategies. They're not like a calendar portlet or a courses portlet or even a newsreader portlet that reads RSS. They're simple, quick, abstract strategies for bringing content into the portal. And the rise of these kinds of things, the increased use of these kinds of things in the work that we do with clients has led me to kind of put together a mostly mentally, but I'm trying to get this out into various formats, a Portlet Solutions playbook and a flowchart, which I'll hit in a little bit. There are a range of strategies available to you to bring content in the form of portlets into uPortal, into uPortal adoption. And one of those is to go straight for Spring Portlet MVC, open up your Eclipse, and click New Project and start typing XML and Java. And I enjoy doing that. That's just fine for me. I'm happy to do that all the time. But not everyone is, and some content that you want to bring in the portal is maybe not worthy of that level of effort. Worthy isn't the right word. Maybe some content that you're trying to bring into the portal shouldn't have to require that level of effort. To find a developer who has familiarity with Java and with Spring and with Spring Portlet MVC and with working with Git and so forth. Maybe there's some content you want to bring into the portal that there should be strategies for doing that don't involve a code editor. Especially if maybe you're a brand new adopter of uPortal and you're trying to launch something in a month or two that at least gives a presence for 100, 120, 130 different services on campus. So my point is that there should be these strategies. It doesn't mean that we don't sometimes open up the editor and have these rich, feature, with glorious features, portlets like the calendar and like the announcements and courses and so forth. For goodness sake, I think we want to have those, but sometimes we want to have another tool in our toolbox. So I list out several here at kind of a high level. My favorite really is the standards-based Apereo portlet. I love it when the content that you're trying to bring into the portal is an IMAP integration, or it's an RSS feed, or it's an iCal feed or a CalDev feed or something like that, because that's a standard. And we can write a rich portlet to that standard, and we can bring in all kinds of, or LTI for goodness sake, we can bring in all kinds of content based on that standard, and we can work on one sort of code module that supports the standard, and we can easily kind of share that burden and provide a viable, mature, off-the-shelf solution for that standard. That's my favorite. I love it. But not everything is like that. Not all content is like that. Sometimes we're trying to bring give a presence in the portal to a system that doesn't offer any kind of data or information based on a standard like that. And sometimes all we really want to do is provide a glorified link. Maybe we want to write up a paragraph or 2-paragraph description of what the service is. We want to put a title, maybe we want to put an icon in there. We want to have a hyperlink, or maybe we want to have several deep links into the system at various points. Well, the simple CMS is actually pretty good for that. A non-technical user can set that up or maintain it, and it's very flexible. You can use a WYSIWYG editor. Now, in fact, you can use a WYSIWYG editor that allows image uploads to set up a portlet like that, and it doesn't take a Scrum iteration. It doesn't even take a morning. You can have content in your portal. The next one that I mentioned earlier, because we enhanced it, is the simple JSP. Well, maybe the content that you're trying to bring in is simple, but simple for me. Simple for someone who is comfortable opening up a code editor, comfortable writing in HTML, writing a JSP file, maybe interacting with JavaScript, maybe bringing in jQuery and using jQuery and various CSS strategies. The simple JSP is good for that because it saves you the trouble of having to create a new project, having to bring a new project into your portal. It saves you the trouble of having to write controller code, server-side Java logic, at least in as much as you don't need it. You can limit, it's a development strategy. It's a strategy for bringing in content that is focused on technical skills and development, but you can limit that to creating and managing a JSP file. And then the next one, which is sort of brand new, and brought to us actually by the good folks at the Illini Cloud, that I talked about just a second ago, is the app launcher. That's another strategy. If what you really are trying to do is create a page, a portal page that is a collection of sort of icons, launcher icons into other systems on campus, the app launcher is a great solution for that because in a very simple config mode with a few form fields, you can set up a pretty decent looking integration point or launcher into another application. And then there are other strategies. There are, if what you're trying to do is more complicated than that, and there isn't an existing standard that allows you to bring that content in, and there isn't an existing portlet, or actually the next one is there is an existing portlet, like the courses or the notification or dining or sports. There aren't, unfortunately, these are not portlets for the most part that support only standards-based data. These are portlets that you typically have, in choosing to adopt them, you're signing up to write custom adapters for the services that have this data. But that's another strategy. And then the other strategy, when all else fails, I suppose, is to start a new Apereo portlet project from scratch. And then, you're back into, Eclipse or IntelliJ, editing source code files, but I'm comfortable with that. Hopefully many of you are comfortable with that, and you know what you're getting into. All right, so I talked about a variety of strategies in a list format. I've also got these strategies kind of in a flowchart for helping you choose. And this is very much a work in progress. Please don't imagine that I have all the answers and that this is the only tool you need to make a choice. But please provide your feedback, comments on this wiki page. This is taken directly from the JSIG wiki in the Portlet space under the documentation for developers. Please share your thoughts. I must be missing probably as many strategies as I've included, and probably missing as many forks in the road as I've shown. But this kind of details the I need to make a choice. Okay, well, is my content standards-based? Well, yes, it is. Okay, is there an existing portlet for that? Yes, there is. Okay, well, I should probably use it. No, it's not standards-based data or content that I'm trying to bring in there. Okay, well, do I want to do the implementation in Java? Okay, yes, I do. Do I have technical skills? At any rate, it tries to represent all these choices in the form of a flowchart. And I think that's the last slide. And I'm betting I went over. I'll take questions anyway. Any thoughts or questions? I'd be happy to address them, or my co-presenters for sure. Well, if not, that's great too. I'm here all week. Please come and see me. Tell me about your Portlet stories. All right, thanks everyone.